Member of the Senate Foreign Relations and Judiciary Committees, Democratic Senator Chris Coons of Delaware. Senator, always good to have you with us. As you well know by now, the President of the United States has left Vietnam a couple of hours early on his way back to Washington, walking away from a potential deal with North Korea, saying, Kim Jong-un wanted us to lift all the sanctions. I wasn't going to do that. Did the President do the right thing?
Well, I'm grateful that the President didn't take an unprecedented and dangerous step of giving away our military presence on the Korean Peninsula in exchange for a weak deal. So, yes, I think it's a good thing that he walked away rather than agreeing to something that was badly flawed. But I do think he ended up walking away in part out of a lack of real preparation. I'm concerned by a report by NBC News that American negotiators had dropped a requirement that North Korea make a full and transparent accounting of its nuclear missiles, its nuclear research program, its nuclear enrichment facilities. President Trump famously criticized the nuclear deal with Iran that President Obama accomplished as being terrible and weak. One of the most important features of that deal was that we finally got a full and transparent accounting of all stages and steps of Iran's nuclear program and the opportunity to do searching inspections on all of it. That's something we should not drop in negotiations with North Korea, and I'm concerned there doesn't seem to be a follow-on or next step to transition this to professional diplomacy between technical experts. We need to stop with the reality TV summits and move towards real and serious diplomacy with North Korea.
Senator, is it naive, not just for President Trump, but for any American or any diplomat, to think that North Korea ever would fully give up its nuclear program, given that that's the only leverage it has in the world?
Well, they also have a very strong and lethal cyber attack capability, but I think so. I think it is naive, and don't believe me, believe President Trump's own Director of National Intelligence, Dan Coates, who recently testified to Congress that our intelligence community assesses that Kim Jong-un will never fully denuclearize. There are two very concerning me about President Trump's comments. First, he took dictator Kim Jong-un at his word that he was unaware that American Otto Warmbier's condition was so terrible that he died upon return to the United States. And second, he keeps talking about our special relationship and his close and warm relationship with this terrible dictator who has an awful human rights record. That kind of language is usually reserved for our closest allies, like the United Kingdom, not for one of the worst abusers of his own citizens.
Trying to put that aside and putting aside that he took a dictator at his word, Senator Coons, you talk about lack of preparation. The president was tweeting about Michael Cohen throughout this summit and even said, when asked questions during a press availability, that he tried to watch as much as he could. He works for the American people. Shouldn't the American people expect more when the President of the United States is at a summit with a dictator?
Absolutely. We would hope that he would be exclusively focused on trying to accomplish a diplomatic breakthrough with a country that we know has nuclear weapons and intercontinental missiles and has threatened to attack us. And clearly the president was greatly distracted, as was the whole country, by the riveting testimony of Michael Cohen. Look, I'll agree with President Trump that Michael Cohen is a liar and a criminal who's now going to jail. But the striking thing here, Mika, is that so's Roger Stone, so's Paul Manafort, so's Michael Flynn. Apparently, candidate Trump surrounded himself with criminals and liars, yet we're supposed to believe that neither he nor his campaign did anything illegal. We have to remember what the important thing was that came out of Michael Cohen's testimony yesterday. I'm sure President Trump isn't the first president to have an affair or to do improper things to cover it up. So no matter how distracting the sleazy aspects of a porn star payment might be, the important matter yesterday was that Michael Cohen testified that he was in the room as President Trump, then candidate Trump, heard from Roger Stone about their coordination of efforts to make sure that WikiLeaks disclosed the materials stolen by Russian intelligence from the DNC in order to influence the 2016 election. That really matters. I'm certain he's the first president to be credibly questioned over whether or not there was some role between his campaign and a hostile power.
David Ignatius.
So, Senator Coons, I want to ask you where you think this goes next. After today's events, call it the collapse of the talks, call it President Trump sensibly walking away. What happens now, and what do you think the dangers are in terms of returning to a highly confrontational situation? How's that best avoided?
Well, David, here's the bigger challenge, is that our success in terms of containing Iran's nuclear program came because of a very well-coordinated, several-year-long effort with our closest allies to put real pressure on Iran through sanctions. That's the thing we need to be doing now, sustaining our sanctions against North Korea. And again, I'll commend the president for walking away rather than lifting all of our sanctions. But I was just at the Munich Security Conference, as you know, David, and I heard from a wide range of our allies that President Trump's very abrupt decision to pull all of our troops out of Syria, even while our core allies were in combat against ISIS without consulting them, has weakened our standing with our allies. I'm concerned that President Trump's America First strategy may leave us a friendless nation when it comes to trying to rally the international community to impose meaningful sanctions on North Korea. This is a critical moment for us to gather our allies and reapply tougher sanctions on North Korea.
All right, Senator Chris Coons of Delaware, always good to have you on the show. Thanks for being here.